Another week, another gut-wrenching loss for the Dolphins. And if you're thinking this season couldn't get any worse, well, it somehow does, every single time. It's one thing to start slow, but what we're seeing now. It feels like the Dolphins are actively unraveling before our eyes. Facing a struggling Titans team, there was a glimmer of hope, but it didn't take long for the reality to set in. This wasn't going to be the week where things turned around. No, they managed to look like one of the worst teams in the league. Yes, injuries have piled up, and sure, Tua being sidelined is huge, but that can't be an excuse for how they performed on Monday night. The team didn't just stumble, they looked utterly lost, especially on the offensive side. The penalties kept stacking up, the offense couldn't find a rhythm, and every little mistake felt magnified by the fact that they just couldn't seem to get out of their own way. Penalty issues are nothing new for the Dolphins. But it feels like each week, it's the same old story. What makes it worse is that these are not just random, unlucky penalties, they're coming from the same spots, over and over again. This week, there was the added complication of Tyler Huntley stepping in, new to the system, and clearly not synced up with the timing of the snaps and motions. And honestly, it was pretty clear he wasn't ready. But whose fault is that? A lot of fingers point to Mike Mcdaniel. Why didn't Mcdaniel simplify things? Why keep running the same complicated schemes when your third-string quarterback is barely acquainted with the playbook? Mcdaniel, again, seemed off in his play calling. Early on, things were clicking for a moment. Then, as if by some cruel fate, the adjustments made later in the game derailed everything. Huntley's strength? Throwing inside the numbers, quick reads, and timing routes. But for whatever reason, Mcdaniel kept dialing up inside runs and passes to the boundary, neither of which worked. The offense just felt disconnected, scattered, like they were out of sync with each other and the game. But you can't heap all the blame on Mcdaniel. This game wasn't just about poor coaching decisions, the players didn't show up either. Tyreek Hill, who we've come to expect brilliance from, had a fumble on a backward pass. Waddle, who's supposed to be a reliable target, dropped what should have been a routine catch for a first down. These are your top guys, your highest-paid players, and in a game where everything is falling apart around them, this is when they need to step up. Instead, they added to the chaos. And the short yardage situations? Forget it. Once again, McDaniel's answer in those crucial moments was to run sideways, get cute with the play design, and it backfired, again. Third downs? Rarely converted. Fourth downs? Don't even ask. It's baffling, really. Why not just line up, pound the ball up the middle, or at least attempt something straightforward? Every time Tua's out, it feels like this team becomes a shell of itself, and that's just unacceptable. The team cannot rely so heavily on one player to carry them. A couple more losses, and this season will spiral completely out of reach. The defense, though, doesn't deserve the same level of criticism. Sure, the scoreboard might not reflect it, but they've been battling out there, often put in impossible situations. When your offense is constantly handing over great field position to the other team, and you're out on the field with barely any rest, it's hard to keep up. Yet, despite the challenges, the defense has been solid. There's always room to tighten things up, but let's be real, the defense isn't the reason for this downward spiral. It's getting tough, isn't it? Each week feels like a step backward, and even when the expectations are low, they still manage to let us down. Mcdaniel has to do something, and soon. Whether it's simplifying the offense, focusing on the basics, or just making smarter decisions in critical moments, something has to give. The injuries aren't helping, but that's part of the game. Good teams adapt. Good coaches find ways to win. The Dolphins? They need to find a way to stop the bleeding. Because if they don't, this season's already a lost cause. Let's just hope Tua's return can inject some life into this team, and fast, before it's too late.